JEJE Vibe, 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 vibe.
JEJE Vibe, 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 vibe.
It's JEJE Vibe.
It's JEJE Vibe.
It's JEJE Vibe.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? All my people out there in the world.
We back.
Welcome to another vibe. You know it's JEJE Vibe. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like, subscribe to the channel. Don't be dulling. And of course, I got the queen with me.
As always.
Fantastic.
Thanks, boo.
So today, we're going to be touching on the news about Donald Trump being found guilty.
Trump protesters celebrating. The former president guilty on all 34 counts. We're also hearing chants of lock him up from this crowd. Word came down that the jurors had reached a verdict late Thursday afternoon.
There's a verdict, a note that was sent at 4:20 p.m. Eastern. That was 17 minutes ago. We have a verdict in the criminal trial of Donald Trump.
After almost 10 hours of deliberating, the jury had reached its decision.
Count 1, guilty. Count 2, the former president found guilty. Count 3, guilty.
The guilty counts were announced one by one.
Count 6, guilty. Count 7, guilty. Count 8, guilty.
In total, the word guilty was pronounced 34 times. Trump sat there stone-faced.
All 34 charges. Guilty
Just because someone paid hush money.
for hush money payment to a porn star called Stormy Daniels.
You've already paid for the offense. Why going into court again in the first place?
This was a personal transaction.
And then even with that, actually mutual transaction.
Mutual transaction.
And it should have ended there. But somehow it found its way into the court system. And then somehow there were 34 ridiculous counts on that. And found it guilty. Ridiculous.
I can tell you that it was, to my mind, it was reprehensible that you take a case that is basically misdemeanors and with an expired statute of limitations, and you do the mental gymnastics to contort this into a target crime that's not defined until closing argument and make those into felonies, basically reviving an expired statute of limitations. I could go on and on about the legal nonsense that this is, but I'm not criticizing the jury. I criticize, number one, the prosecutor for bringing this case. Part of what makes the system work is prosecutors have to make hard decisions when to bring a case. The jury did what they were given. That's on the judge. The judge, there's no such thing as directed verdicts in criminal cases. This was basically a directed verdict based on the jury instructions.
Ridiculous charges, man.
Then they mentioned that, hey, the hush money or whatever was funded through campaign funds.
The reality is this, is that these aren't crimes that were on the books in every single state. These are crimes that are on the books in New York State, as we talked about, all right? And so he knew exactly what he was doing.
That's where the charges is coming. But the funny thing is, there's no federal charges. The DOJ is not coming after Trump. The federal government is not coming after Trump. This is the states. This is New York.
But this is crazy, though. Then we have Cory Bush committing the same crime. Nobody's talking about that. Using campaign funds to fund your own security, which is your husband.
I'm going to make sure I have security because I know I have had attempts on my life and I have too much work to do. There are too many people that need help right now for me to allow that. So if I end up spending $200,000, if I spend $10 more on it, you know what? I get to be here to do the work. So suck it up, and defunding the police has to happen. We need to defund the police and put that money into social safety.
2 years later.
This breaking news now. Sources have confirmed to Fox News that far-left Democrat squad member Cori Bush of Missouri is now under federal investigation for misusing federal security money. Bush has spent more than $750,000 on private security since she was elected in 2020. Now, remember, these are the same people who defunded the police, but then had to have private security. A watchdog has also demanded that the Federal Election Committee investigate $62,000 of that money that Bush paid to her now husband. He was her boyfriend back then. She hired him to be a security guard from her campaign account. You may remember Congresswoman Bush, one of the big proponents of defunding the police in 2020. I mention it again because look how much she spent to make sure she certainly didn't defund her protection.
We had that episode. Nobody is going after that. Ridiculous.
It's a Chilabonda. Some crazy shit like that. So it's crazy like that. Now they're trying to get Trump. I think right now he's being called a convicted felon.
Crazy.
For the first time ever, a former U.S. president is now a convicted felon, found guilty by a jury of his peers of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Some questions that some of you might have. Can a convicted felon run for president? The answer is yes. Can a convicted felon serve as president? The answer is yes. Can a convicted felon vote for himself or herself for president? The answer is it depends on the state, but in Florida, where Donald Trump lives, former President Trump lives, they tend to defer to the state where the conviction takes place, and that is New York, and felons are able to vote in New York if they are out of prison. So those are some of the questions. Now, I have questions.
His crime is crazy.
All for the sake
trying to bury someone with several cases. Ridiculous charges that doesn't even make sense. Yet, he was found guilty on it.
This is crazy.
Other past presidents have done worse.
Crazy.
Like, hey, extramarital affairs in the White House.
Why is Bill Clinton able to have sex with an intern in the Oval Office when he's president and lie to the American people about it on national television? And why is he able to pay off Paula Jones $850,000, 4 times as much, 5 times as much as the Trump payment to Stormy Daniels, to get rid of a sexual harassment claim, again, while he's president? And he has no criminal court recourse for that. Why is that deemed to be better than what happened with Trump and Stormy?
Crazy.
Or the ones that ordered some killings during their regime.
President who I am aware of who actually assassinated American citizens was President Obama. So perhaps the ranking member should revisit her history books. I have an article here from the ACLU stating the ACLU and CCR have filed a lawsuit challenging the government's targeted killing of 3 U.S. citizens in drone strikes far from any armed conflict zone. In Alaki versus Panetta, the group charges that the U.S. government's killings of U.S. citizens in Yemen last year violated the Constitution's fundamental guarantee against the deprivation of life without due process of law. The killings under Obama were part of a broader program of targeted killing by the United States outside of the context of armed conflict and based on vague legal standards, a closed executive process, and evidence never presented to the courts.
Strikes. So the Office of Legal Counsel looked at this very carefully and determined that
Number one, the federal murder statute does apply to the executive branch. The president wasn't personally carrying out the strike, but the aiding and abetting laws are broad, and it determined that a public authority exception that's built into statutes and that applied particularly to the murder statute because it talks about unlawful killing did not apply to the drone strike. So this is actually the way that the system should function. The Department of Justice takes criminal law very seriously. It runs it through the analysis very carefully with established principles. It documents them, it explains them, and then the president can go forward in accordance with it. And there is no risk of prosecution for that course of activity.
Thank you for your...
Crazy.
Or the ones that aided war and every American suffered through it.
Crazy.
Even the stock market went crashing.
Mr. Bush, when are you going to apologize for the million Iraqis that are dead because you lied? You lied about weapons of mass destruction. You lied about connections to 9/11. You lied about Iraq being a threat. You sent me to Iraq. You sent me to Iraq in 2003. My friends are dead. Joshua Castile. You killed people. You lied. You lied about WMD. A million Iraqis are dead because you lied. My friends are dead because you lied. You need to apologize. Apologize.
Yet,
crazy.
His crime is not even half of what other past presidents has done.
Crazy.
How can our system embarrass an ex-president never been heard of?
Former presidents for, and there's all types of war crimes that you could prosecute Donald Trump for. But they don't go after him for that because then their next guy would be open to being prosecuted for war crimes. So they're going after him for every little thing that they can get. It's look, the United States of America, our government has done some bad things in our past. We've lied the American people into wars many, many times. World War I, Vietnam, Iraq. This is something different. We've never done this before. We've never weaponized the justice system against a former sitting president of the United States who, by the way, was framed for treason by his intelligence agencies while he was president. And now they're weaponizing the Justice Department against him while he is the overwhelming frontrunner to win the next election. It's a truly wild time to be alive.
Yet y'all do it. It's bad enough the economy is shitty now. Yet this administration have been coming out to saying that things are all fine. Well, day to day, we're living a different reality.
This point about inflation down 60% off its peak is very much the case. So
no, it wasn't. It was not. It was not at that. So you're almost as bad as he is. Why can't you just say it was high? It got as high as 9%. You'd be accurate in saying that. And we have now brought it down, and we're struggling in around the 3% area. But it's better than it was. But instead, to hang it on his predecessor, that you inherited something that was through the roof when we were in the middle of COVID. It just seems to the American people, whether you're Republican or Democrat, you're lying. You're just lying.
Well, hold on. I hear you. The president was making the point that I think is unequivocally true. The factors that took inflation to 9% were in place when he took office.
That is not what he said, Jared. And you're a very smart guy with this stuff. You could just whisper, and he's a good friend of yours, obviously, thinks the world of you. Many others do as well. You could have just told him, Chief, I got to tell you, Mr. President, whatever you say, you might even call him Joe. That's how close you are. Say, sir, it was not 9%. Stop it with the 9%, because the more you say that, the more people don't believe what you're saying.
Look, I think what the American people care most about is the fact that inflation...
The American people care about truth, Jared.
Hold on, Neil, this only works if you let me talk, okay?
You haven't answered my question. I've asked it 5 times, five ways.
The president was making the point that the factors that caused inflation were in place when he took office, and that's unequivocally true. Right. I take your point, and we can have we can go on all day back and forth on this.
Homelessness, inflation on food, almost 50%.
Do you need some proof that the economy sucks? I'm at the 99-cent store. Let's go find some proof that the economy is in shambles. So for years, the 99-cent store was famous for 99-cent products. But nowadays, all you see are products marked up $1.99 or more. Actually, more often than not, you actually get products that are just plain not 99 cents here. Most of the shelves are actually listed at $1.99 nowadays. More $3 items, $4 items. This is literally the same price that it is at my local big box grocery store. What makes this even worse is that you're often getting far inferior products for the same prices that you would pay at a Walmart store, and they imply that you're getting a value. The point is, the next time somebody tells you the economy is great, jobs are being created, they're not. The recovered jobs are being refound because people are shopping more, but this is preying on people that need help the most. This is actually predatory on working class folks who can't afford to go to the big box stores. So just consider that.
Housing market is unaffordable. Apartments are twice as expensive now.
It's literally becoming impossible to live a normal life because of the inflation that's going on. Literally, our rent payment used to be $800. 2 bedroom, 2 full bath. $1,400.
Oh, utilities. Crazy. Yet, they continuously lie. I guess this is time to talk about it on our podcast. They continuously lie that the economy is good.
The economy is going great under President Biden. We've added 14 million jobs. It's been 4% inflation or less for 23 months now. And so why do they want to try to wreck the economy? I don't get it.
10 years ago, if someone told me, predicted the future and told me then that I would be making what I'm making now salary-wise, but I would be struggling and barely making it paycheck to paycheck and paying for food for 7 people, I would say, you're crazy. I can't even imagine making that kind of money. 7 mouths? That's a lot. And I know everyone is struggling, and trust me.
If you are not struggling financially right now, then you need to consider yourself completely blessed. Like, don't even consider yourself. You are completely blessed. Like, every time I check my local mom group on Facebook, I see requests or people asking where they can get some financial assistance to pay.
No, but riddle me this. When did life become so goddamn expensive and it's also impossible to have fun?
Crazy. They continuously lie about the unemployment rate has reduced to a single digit, 3.4% or whatever. Yet we hear about all these layoffs.
More layoffs are coming. And this is a list of all the companies just in the last 4 months that have done massive layoffs. Pause if you want to look at every single one. So earlier this week, Tesla was one of the newer ones at 10% of their workforce laid off. Take-Two, the video game company, is planning on laying off 5% of its workforce. Rivian, the electric car company, is doing mass layoffs. And apparently Google is about to announce a new round of layoffs. Oh, by the way, that latest job report that said we added all these jobs, most of them were part-time jobs, not these 6 figures, provide for your family jobs, part-time jobs. When do you guys think this shit is going to end?
Yet, they chose not to even address everything that we are all going through daily. Economically.
The economy is fine. We have no idea what you people are complaining about. Is it fine? Because the majority of the country can barely afford to live right now. Unemployment is 4%. You all have jobs. Yeah, everybody has jobs and the jobs don't pay close enough to live comfortably. What do you mean they don't pay enough? We raised minimum wage in some places. Minimum wage doesn't even pay enough to be able to live in a dumpster. The prices of dumpsters have gone up, I will give you that. But the stock market's doing well. None of us have enough disposable income to be able to put into the stock market. Well, maybe y'all would have more disposable income if you didn't spend your money on such frivolous things, like children and food or whatever. Those things are necessities to live, and we've been taking on a tremendous amount of debt in order to afford them. So what? Debt is great. We're in debt. Yeah, I mean, you guys are in a crazy amount of debt. Yeah, we're in so much debt. It's $33 trillion. It's not even a real number anymore. Okay, so does that mean we don't have to pay it, or? Oh no, I mean we don't have to pay our debt, but you got to pay it. If you don't pay your debt, you're screwed. Jesus Christ. All right, I'm just going to see if I can start a pyramid scheme or something.
But at least if you're not going to, if you're still someone that still has a job and things are still sustainable or whatever, but at least you cannot tell me that you don't know that prices of food are skyrocketed.
Everything is high. Gas is high.
Yet they continuously lie. And they never even came with their own debate. They never came with what, I guess, proposed statement of what they, or agenda of what they're gonna be doing if they get elected. We never get that. The only thing we get is we're going after Trump and we're going to win.
What is the policies?
What has Trump? What has
agenda for the
going
4 years?
After Trump doing for our day-to-day life struggles? Yet they continuously lie. Or is it the press secretary that doesn't even answer questions?
Crazy.
This is Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary and self-proclaimed historic figure. I wish I was kidding.
This is a historic administration. I'm a historic figure, and I certainly walk in history every day.
Okay. Anyway, on March 26th, 2024, President Biden held a rally in North Carolina. And to promote the visit, Karine approached WBT Radio in Charlotte and spoke to their news director, Mark Garrison.
Hey there. Good morning, Mark. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to having this conversation.
So, North Carolina's a state in play for sure. Some of the latest numbers show 72% of voters here are really worried about the president's mental competence. And one poll last week said that was 46% of Democrats. How does the president overcome that?
Well, I would point everyone to the State of the Union, where the president gave an incredible speech about his vision for the American people. And he spoke for 75 minutes and laid out a powerful remarks on how he sees us moving forward with healthcare, lowering costs for healthcare, and how important that is to millions of Americans, including North Carolinians.
So the question was, how does Biden convince voters that he's mentally competent? And Karine's answer was, he gave a speech and talked about healthcare. Let's watch some of the highlights from that speech.
I want to provide an annual tax credit. And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut, overwhelmingly benefit the top 1%. The threat to democracy must be defended. I'd be a winner, not really.
But then Mark Garrison did what reporters and journalists aren't allowed to do, and that's ask the White House an actual tough question about Joe Biden's mental fitness.
When I told a number of people that I was talking to you today, it was interesting, though. They all said, would you please just ask her, does the president have dementia? So before I move on from that, does he?
Mark, I can't even believe you're asking me this question.
When Karine's been asked about the president's health in the past, her response is usually one of shock.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. That is, that is not a question that we should be even asking.
5 days later.
That is an incredibly offensive question to ask.
But you know people ask it.
Wait, no. You, Mark, you're taking us down this rabbit hole. Let me be very clear about this. For the past several years, the president's physician has laid out in a comprehensive way the president's health.
However, that comprehensive medical report from Biden's physician famously didn't include cognitive testing or a dementia screening.
Look, the president doesn't need a cognitive test. That is not my assessment. That is the assessment of the president's doctor. That is also the assessment of the neurologist, who has also made that assessment as well.
It's a disgrace to the American people that at least the respect should be there.
Like, you don't put an ex-president on trial for shit like this.
The current president, as much as everyone's suffering, people still rarely mock him. Yet,
crazy.
Trump was the most mocked president.
Like,
there were several memes of him.
When he was found guilty of all these charges, it was record-breaking donation that he received in 24 hours.
It was, honey.
I think we've set a record beyond all records for fundraising.
President Trump has raised nearly $200 million in the last few days, including $100 million reportedly from one donor alone, Sheldon Adelson's widow, Miriam Adelson. Immediately following the verdict, the donation website for the Trump campaign crashed with a record number of small donors looking to make a contribution to the campaign.
Just in terms of small dollar, we're well over $70 million.
Wow.
30% of those people have never been seen before by a political party. If you add the large dollar donations to it, you're over 200 million. These are Americans who are pissed off. They're coming out of the woodwork and they want to support a guy that they just believe is getting bamboozled by a system.
He got close to $53 million.
Not just that, even TikTok account went what? Cranking
up to 1.2 million
in a day.
In a day.
Somebody said to me the other day, "You're the most famous person in the world by far." I said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." They said, "Yes, you are." I said, "No." They said, "Who's more famous?" I said, "Jesus Christ." Taking any chances. I'm not going to have an argument. Hey, I'm not having any arguments. Jesus Christ.
Yet we continuously see all these bad actors lying that
trash.
The economy is good, that they don't expect paid actors.
Paid actors, paid NPCs.
It is because it's not bad for me or my friends. I have a friend that's a stay-at-home dad. He's not rich. I have friends who work part-time, starting up businesses, who have worked at the same place forever. I have middle-class friends. They're not complaining about their life constantly. And I don't know what they are politically. I really don't. I don't talk about politics with my friends. I talk about my wife. I talk about sports. I talk about, we talk about guy stuff. So I'm not somebody that is, if you don't have policies that I connect with, and you're always grouching and bitching about the other side, I'm not really interested in you. Trump once tried to sell a vodka and acknowledges he never drank ever. He's never really drank alcohol, but he tried to sell a vodka. So I've thought for a long time he's just kind of a con artist.
Coming out here telling you that your reality is not real.
The reality of the fact is that the middle class drives the American economy. If the middle class are not making money or paying taxes, the lower class will not get fed.
Big facts. Chee! On a Chilaboski level. So, guys, what do you guys think? I think there's one thing I want to touch on, like Trump's reaction to, or what he said about this.
The judge could decide to say, hey, house arrest or even jail.
It could.
Face what that could be.
I'm okay with it. I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, oh, no, you don't want to do that to the president. I said, don't beg for anything. I don't know that the public would stand it, I'm not sure the public would stand for it.
If you were still DA, would...
Crazy.
And then we hear an interview saying that, like when you get in the office, are you going to retaliate or come back for them? But you cannot continuously throw jabs at someone and not reap the repercussion of it.
He has to fight back. So let's hear from Trump when he says what is...
mutually, we're just talking about the weaponization of the justice system against political opponents. Some of your supporters have said, well, the only way to stop this is mutually assured destruction, right? If you do it to us, we're going to do it to you. You've said, no, my revenge is going to be success for America. You've just had this verdict. Do you still feel the same?
These people are sick, and they do things that are so destructive. I mean, look what they did from the day I got there. And I don't know, a lot of people said, we have no choice but to elect Trump. Republicans, because he's the only one that can withstand this. Don't forget, if it weren't me, they'd be going after somebody else. And I know a lot of the competition, they wouldn't they wouldn't do so well. They wouldn't be doing so well right now. They'd be saying, "Mommy, take me home. I want to go home." This is brutal.
Man, it's not
But these
easy,
are
man.
people-
Like, to be going through all of this.
Because, like, it's true. Like, going through all cases.
Crazy.
After cases.
Not lawyers' fees.
Lawyer fees. Like, it's like they're trying to make him broke to the point where you're going broke. We're going to rip you off financially. Like, we're going to make you pay. Like, he's paying lawyer fees for each of these cases.
Or more like bury him in cases.
Like, on cases.
Oh, the Fannie Willis one is still pending.
Still pending. You still have the other one with the Mar-a-Lago case. Like, there's so many cases.
And then we're only less than 5 months into the election.
Crazy. So, Trump say he's going to revenge with success. But anyway, guys, drop a comment, let us know. What do you guys feel about this verdict on Trump? What do you guys feel about Trump being found guilty of all 34 charges? And is this fair? Drop a comment, let us know. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, alright?
It's JEJE Vibe. It's JEJE Vibe. It's JEJE Vibe.
It's gone.
We move.